Rolling with the triple C, I'ma make him bend the knee. Rolling with the triple C, don't really count the heat.
So at 155 pounds, we have a new contender. Who am I talking about, everybody? You guys all know. Don't act like you guys don't know. His name is Arman Tsarukyan. This guy, what he was able to do to Beneil Dariush is absolutely ridiculous. If you guys really pinpoint the technique of how he was actually able to knock him out, it was crazy. Double jab, right hand, grabs the clinch, knees him with that right knee to eventually let that straight go and eventually knock him out. I mean, God, man, Beneil Dariush, he's been knocked out like he wouldn't believe. And this is something that he may think about retirement, because there's sincerely a button there that if it continues to keep being shut off, it could really mess with his mental health. Barbosa knocked him out with that flying knee. Alexander Hernandez knocked him out with, I want to say it was a right. Islam. I'm going through. I'm trying to remember. Well, this one with Arman, the way he was knocked out. There's a certain switch now that he either needs to just stick to grappling, not bring it on his feet no more, or potentially start focusing on retirement, because it's too many times when you start, like Chuck Liddell went through the same thing of that. But who do you give credit to on that? His name is Arman. Arman, the first time that I saw Arman Tsarukyan fight, I was like, man, this kid is dangerous. But then I saw him in Gamrot fight for the first time, and to me, it's one of the most competitive, one of the most beautiful fights in UFC history. If you guys go back and watch how competitive that fight is, and how is it that Gamrot was able to kind of switch the run, he was able to steal that fight within that fifth. I mean, it was beautiful. But I do believe watching him now, he has learned his lesson. He's 26 years old now. The first time that he fought a guy like Islam Makhachev, he was only 22. This dude is super, super dangerous. There's two options for him. There could be one option, because they're talking about Charles Oliveira. They still want to do the Charles Oliveira Islam fight. You somehow find a way to entice and get that Justin Gaethje fight. You know, if Gaethje doesn't fight Holloway, I mean, this would be a tough fight, because he's asking. When anybody ever asks for Justin Gaethje, is they're ready for violence, and that says a lot about a guy like Arman, because who the hell wants to fight Justin Gaethje? Yeah, you could potentially beat him, but you know you're gonna go through hell. You know your leg's gonna get kicked. You know more likely that he could punch your lights out, just as Justin Gaethje did to Fiziev. Remember Fiziev? And I even thought that Fiziev had the best striking in all of mixed martial arts. But that's how good Justin Gaethje is. You know, Justin Gaethje, the new improved guy, the one that's wrestling now, the guy that does roll-throughs when he does get taken down, that's a tough one. Will Justin Gaethje take a fight like Arman? Does Arman have that star power to be able to get a fight like that? I mean, it's only up to Arman to go out there, get on Twitter, get on Instagram, do all that, and start picking on people. He's too good. It's more likely it could take over a year before if he does win this next fight, in order for him to fight for the title. You know, Islam Makhachev, from what I know, I think he's waiting till, like, I don't know when it is, but he did give Islam Makhachev the hardest fight of his career, besides Islam losing that one fight. So, to say the least, guys, the future is bright for a guy like Arman Tsarukyan. That being said, let's switch over to Figgy. Deiveson Figueiredo, the God of War, making the adjustments at 135 pounds. Woo! Did he look good? Did Deiveson Figueiredo look good? Yeah, there's some things that, you know, getting a chance to kind of mentor him throughout this fight and cancel him, that there's a lot of things that he was missing that he could have done a little bit better. But other than that, it was good timing on the takedowns, good stepping through that right hand. He was able to hurt him and hurt him and daze him with, in particularly that uppercut. The weight cut that he did was, he was done at making 125 pounds, and the fact that he was able to make the weight really good and then beat the number 8th ranked guy in the world, that just lets you know how serious Deiveson Figueiredo was. You know, he doesn't have that many fights, man. He's not gonna fight forever. He's not. He wants to go in there, potentially, gain that second belt and then take it where he wants to take it. Retire, go back in Brazil and live in his home country. I mean, what's next for him? What's next for a guy like Deiveson Figueiredo after a spectacular performance, 30-27, Rob Font? You know what it is? You call a big name. You call a big name. You call out a former champion. I mean, there's that bout between him and maybe another Brazilian. I know him and Cody Garbrandt had it in for each other a while ago. You can resurrect that. You know what I'm saying? But right now, he's landed in the top 10. I'm not sure what number the UFC is going to rank him, but he landed in the top 10. Now he's going to know, and now he's going to prepare for who is it? That's a veteran that's been in the game for a minute. Who would they give a guy like Deiveson Figueiredo? You know, the God of War he loves. He's calling out O'Malley, calling out Aljamain Sterling. He gets the game. You know, the future is bright for him. And 135 pounds, that is his new weight class. And without further ado, guys, I'd like to end it with Kelvin Gastelum. You know, Kelvin Gastelum is, made the weight at 170 pounds. I think, after the last time he's made 170 pounds was in 2016. And it showed. And it showed. And for me, it was 3 years, and I felt it. Imagine 2016. I mean, that's double the years of my retirement. But I do believe that was at Kelvin, and I think he knows that. I mean, he even told me, he's like, dude, I left that place kind of scratching my head. And there's at times where you have fights that are just brain farts, and Calvin's gonna have to make those adjustments, and he's gonna have to forgive himself for that performance. But I will say this, because he was able to make 170 pounds, that's still his weight class. That is still Calvin's weight class. What's next for Calvin? I think he needs to build. I think Calvin really needs to build and maybe not take a top competitor, especially after 6-7 years of not making that weight. I think he really needs to take his time going back and really making 170 pounds. And I think he needs to fight sooner rather than later, because he's already made 170. So I would even say, if I'm advising him, I says, look to take a fight in the next 4 months. At the 4th month break, you should be fighting at 170 pounds. Why? Because it's the size. Why? Because he just made the weight. So we continue and we get that ball rolling once again. But Calvin's a veteran. Calvin's fought for the title. Calvin has put in Israel through the ringer, almost beat him. Fought for the interim bout, lost. Has fought nothing but the top tier guys in the world. And I think if Kelvin Gastelum is able to get everything in order and make the weight, not just making the weight, but recover well, at 170 pounds, he'd be a hard dude to beat, despite the loss. And I get it, people. I get what you're trying to say. But wait till that dude feels good at 170 pounds. He will be somebody different. Overall, guys, UFC Austin was absolutely ridiculous. Jalen Turner of sticking the ground to fight a guy like Bobby Green, and boom, and just going, just fighting the fight, taking the fight to a guy like Bobby. Bobby Green getting freaking pounded on the bottom like you wouldn't believe, dude. Like the referee, I was there laughing. I'm just like, holy shit. I thought it was just a little tipsy. I'm like, dude, those were clean blows, man. Like, but quite frankly, and it's gonna sound very savage, I prefer that than a slow stoppage. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure Bobby Green would probably agree. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure everybody who's had a close call on that would agree. Let our eyes roll back, or if we can, shit, we could tap too if it's too much. So that being said, yeah, it was long overdue, but as a fighter, I would prefer that than a stoppage that's just too premature. Because what's going to happen with a lot of these referees is they're all going to they're all going to be afraid of the media. You think we're the only ones? You think fighters are the only ones that are afraid of the media? When these guys get fried, they start to have like that second thought. So whether it's a short stoppage or a stoppage that was long overdue, I think the referee has the last judgment there. But I would prefer that long overdue than a premature, especially if you're a competitor. And I guarantee you, we want to give the benefit of the doubt to the fighter. Like, we know about, I know that I can get knocked out and I can get knocked out cold, but a lot of people don't know that MMA, because of the small gloves, that's also what makes it safe. We're not dealing with big gloves that are just boom, that keeps us like a boxing, that keeps us awake just enough to we're not getting our lights punched out. But overall, guys, UFC Austin was absolutely ridiculous with Jakar Close, and he had that slam, and there was another person that did it. I mean, they gave out 8 bonuses on that night. People are calling UFC Austin the greatest fight night of all time. So that's my breakdown. UFC Austin. I'm your host, Henry Cejudo, a.k.a. Triple C. And you guys just heard the truth, the whole damn truth, and nothing but the truth. I'm out!